In 1994, the Jay County Tri-State Gas Engine and Tractor Show featured Ford. And so I invited 4 fellows that were pretty up on Fords to my home to spend the night. And then we'd go during the day to the show, and then when they come back at night, my wife would have supper and we'd sit around the table and talk. Well, 2 of the fellows that were there was Delbert Heusinkvelds and his cousin Quentin Nelson. And those guys in the in the mid-40s took a 2-in and put an 8-cylinder engine in it. And it was quite a talking point. And they could pull a 3-bottom plow with ease. And the rear ends held up pretty good. Well, there were twin brothers whose last name was Funk. They were big in the aircraft business, and they heard about this, and they asked Delbert to bring his tractor to Coffeyville, Kansas, and they wanted to talk about maybe making kits. So they took it there, and he made 3 kits, gave 2 of them to Delbert Heusinkvelds and 1 to his cousin, Quentin Nelson. Delbert went home, put the kit in an 8-in Ford, and sold it to a neighbor. The other kit, he did the same and sold it to a person he really didn't know that well. Okay, in 1994, now these guys are sitting around the table, and Delbert was telling me about the Funk boys made 3 of these kits and gave them to Delbert. And so I said, you know where that tractor is? And he said, oh yeah, I know the guy that's got that first one. And I said, you ought to try to buy that. And he said, well, why? And I said, it may be a collector item someday. Well, he went home and contacted the fellow that had it, and he got it bought. Now, what's unusual about this tractor is in order to fit a V-8 engine in, you had to have a bigger radiator, and so they had to widen this hood. So they had to add 6 inches to the hood in order to get that 8-cylinder engine in it. Here's the original hood that they had repaired, and when Delbert got the tractor bought back from the fellow he had made it for, he took this hood back to Coffeyville, and Mr. Funk signed it, and Delbert signed it, and so that's why I've got this old hood, because it's got Joe Funk twice and Delbert. And they did this in October of 2002. But this is the original hood that has 6 inches added. Well, farmers aren't very good at sheet metal, and they certainly weren't interested in making this wider, so they didn't make any more of these. What they did is they still put an 8-cylinder engine in, but they put in a bigger fan that's higher, and they went over the top. Okay, this is part of the Funk deal, and that's because the motor required more length. Also, this is an 8BA motor that was made in 1949. They made 3 different versions of this engine, and the last one was 49 to 53, so this has the last flathead V8 Ford motor. And also they made a cast iron oil pan that helped replace the rails that were in the other conversions. Also, this tractor has a Sherman high and low speed, so you really got 3 speeds. You got first high, regular first, and first low. And so you go through the four speeds forward and 1 reverse. Also in this is a live power takeoff, and that live PTO is really rare in an 8-in Ford. So this tractor has several additions to the normal tractor. Down here on the floor is another thing that was on this tractor when I got it, and it bolts on to the power takeoff, and it is a drill press and a grinder. Okay, once we got this stuff all established, I asked Delbert if we couldn't put this in writing, what he had done. So when we finally got around doing it, Quentin Nelson had died. And so I have the history on this thing. And then I have Delbert's signature and Harold Luden's signature, and exactly how the Funk Brothers had instructions on adding an 8-cylinder motor to an 8N Ford. Also, I have on here the live PTO in a Ford, how it is installed and how it works, and it's also got I guess it's sales literature for the drill press grinding wheel setup. So, I turned this over to Kurt Aumann, and Kurt's going to put this in an auction this year yet, but I don't know the exact date. I think it's November. And when I showed this stuff, I had these signs made so that people could understand what we're doing. So I'm not really doing any music. I just got a music stand, and that goes with the tractor.